So anyway, like I was saying, can everybody hear me now? Yeah. When you do this live stream thing, sometimes you never know what's going to happen. And my name's Mark Gassard, and Elevate Your Profits. So I'm having a lot of fun here, and somebody was nice enough to let me know, hey man, no audio. You're not rocking and rolling. So anyway, Elevate Your Profits. What's it all about? Well, I'll just give you a quick glimpse of what we do here. I'm going to bring in our guest. Brian, can you hear me?
Hey, Mark.
No.
Hi, Mark.
Can we try it again? Can we try it again?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
I have had perfecto, and here I am doing all this crazy stuff, and I just wanted to say, hey, and we got all this cutesy stuff, and I'll got that. And look at that. There's Brian. So
I love
Brian
that.
is, I know, Brian is the founder and CEO of Radical Vision. And what I was saying was his mission is to help people embrace their own personal blindness. Now, we all have blind spots out there in life. Most of us don't want to admit it. But if you look in what I call that accountability mirror, I love that mirror. Sometimes it's like a guy once told me, if you think you're overweight, take this in stride, put a paper bag over your head, put some slits in it, look in the mirror, and then to thine own self be true. And that will reveal a lot. So, but what Brian does is the process he operates, he takes people from a point of blindness into sight. And we're not talking about just the vision here with the eyes. It's about the overall package. And Brian, I'm so glad you are here with us this evening. So why don't you tell us, your story a little bit, and share it with people out there.
Wow. So my story really started when I was 10. I started to have some problems with my brain. Didn't know what was going on. I blacked out during football camp when I was 10, and then in 1992. So I was in my I was in my 30s by then. In 92, I would have been 25. So then they determined I had some other problems in my brainstem, and then in 2011, I woke up one day and I couldn't see. So when that happened, that's when everything really started to change, and a lot. So that's when, as I was in IT sales at that point. So I worked for IBM and other companies like IBM. That was really when I got to understand that I was probably in the wrong job, doing the wrong thing. And from there, I began to do a lot of work on myself, a lot of investment in myself, and begin to understand what I thought I should be doing. So now I'm a speaker, and I speak like embrace your own personal blindness to achieve greater vision. So, if we can do that, we can start to understand how to accept, encourage, and lead people that are different from us. So,
And Brian, you kind of broke up there a little bit.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
Yeah. So, from my perspective, I encourage people to lead others that are different from them. So, one of those ways we do that is by just encouraging people. So I work at the Ohio School for the Blind. And at the Ohio School for the Blind, there are a lot of people that are a lot different than I am. But in some ways, they're all similar. They are all similar. We're all similar in our own certain way. So it's important for us to be able to realize and encourage other people, because that's what everybody wants. Everybody just wants somebody to love them and somebody to encourage them. So that's what I do.
Okay, thanks, Brian. And you know what? It's pouring and raining cats and dogs here in Peachtree Corners, Georgia, and I think that's why I'm having technical difficulties, but we're going to keep forging ahead. No big deal. Why don't you tell us about? I have the word up here, and I'm going to see if I get this correct for you. Hydrocephalus. Why don't you talk to us about that? Just
Yep.
briefly tell our listening audience what that is.
Yeah. So what that is a buildup of fluid on your brain. So cranial fluid on your brain. So for me, when I was 10 years old, when I blacked out at football camp, it was because I had hydrocephalus, and there was no pathway. Usually we have a pathway on the side of your head to drain fluid like that, but I wasn't able to do that. So I wasn't able to have that pathway. So that's why they had to put a shunt in my brain or in my skull that drains. Is still there to this day. It drains fluid from
Wow.
my brain to my abdomen.
Wow. And have you had multiple operations, or I mean, have you had to go through some situations?
Yeah. So the hydrocephalus, they replaced the first one when I was I don't know, probably 27. So 17 years after it was put in, and then I haven't had another one replaced since. So I'm probably due for another replacement. They don't just replace them, for maintenance. When they have to wait for
Wow.
something bad to happen to replace them.
Oh,
So
wow. Wow, Brian.
so there's that. Yeah. So
That's
and then I have these things called cavernous malformations, or cab mals, and they bleed. And when they bleed, they put pressure on the nerves. For me, part of the bleeding to 10 years ago was on my vision. So it caused me to go blind. And then there's also the bleed that just happened in November, and that caused my tongue to be numb, and my face and my whole right side was. But I don't really have very good healing in my right side. But that's part of the condition, part of the program, part of what's in the brochure.
oh, wow. Brian, I'm not laughing at you, man. You've got some challenges, so you don't know when you're going to
Yeah,
have another surgery or to be tweaked or, as I say, refined or whatever the medical profession wants to call it. But
right.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So so, and the other thing I want to ask you about, and I told you I was going to do this, so I'm just going to kind of go up here. You mentioned about you talked about your philosophy, but this is the one thing I always love to get into, where everybody has them, and it's not just the visual aspect of it. How do you overcome blind spots, Brian? How do you teach that?
Well, you have to be teachable. That's the first thing. You have to be humble enough to listen to other people. Um, as I said, to in order to overcome your blind spots, you first have to have a circle of people that are truth tellers. They're people that probably don't love you, because the people that love you are not going to do the truth, even though you think they will. But the people that just have a vested interest in seeing you do better, they're maybe your friends, they're maybe not your friends, they're maybe whatever whoever they are, however you find this group. I encourage everybody to find that group, but then you have to ask them for feedback, and that's important for you to ask feedback in a certain way. Ask for it in a specific format, or they ask for feedback for me, for a speaker. I might ask somebody to give me feedback. I say or so that's feedback. But
Got
uh,
you.
for you, for business, what are you doing right with this platform? So understanding that feedback, and once you get it, then you need to make sure that you receive it as a gift. And anytime you receive a gift, what do you say? Thank you. So that's the same way you need to receive that feedback. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. In other words, don't look at it as a means to get better and not bitter, and don't hold a grudge against somebody when somebody's critiquing you. They're doing it to help you. My dad had a very unique way of putting it about a coach or a teacher, and his philosophy was, if someone invests time in you, even if they're giving you what for, or as he used to say, hell, that means they care about you and they want you to do better. So don't take it the wrong way. When they ignore you and walk by you and don't communicate with you, then you need to worry. I understood that at an earlier age when I first started working, but because he instilled that in me. But there is truth to that, and coaches, or whether it's in sports or outside the sporting arena, when they get on to somebody, it's not that they're getting on. They know that there's this much they want to get out of them, and they're only giving them that much. They want to get all that out of there, and it's an interesting concept, and I think sometimes people look at it the wrong way. I don't know how you feel about it.
Oh yeah, no. You have to be doing something that you are passionate about. I mean, if you're on the baseball field, and the umpire, I'm sure you've been in this experience before. But if the
Did
umpire
you
gives
have to say umpire, man? Did you have to say it? That's what I do. Did you have to go there? Okay, go on.
well, anyway, if he
No,
says
that's
something
okay. I'm
to
teasing.
you, and you kind of shrug it off, then there's a problem with that. You may
True.
not be doing what you should be doing. You may not be in the right spot. You know, so it shows how much you care. And if you don't care that much
Right.
about it, you're not going to do that well at it.
Right. Absolutely, absolutely. And and I appreciate you explaining that to us. One of the things I'm going to do here, Brian, and a lot of people, they tease me because I go crazy on this, but I'm not going to go super ludicrous. But your book here, sometimes it does take a brain
Yeah.
surgeon. What compelled you to write that? I mean, I just flashed it up there. I'll do it again for everybody to see it. There you go. But what did you one day say, "Hey, I want to write a book," or how did that happen?
Well, it was about 2 years after I had brain surgery, and I knew I wanted to, in case something were to happen to me, because nobody knows what's going to happen to them in this world. But I wanted for my kids to know who I was, and have their ability to tell their kids who I was. I mean, I may never meet my grandkids. If I don't meet my grandkids, I would really like for them to know who I was. So that book is to be that simple. Just to be able to pass on my legacy, if you will. I mean, I don't know if I look at it that way, but I mean, just so they know who I am.
Right, right.
I
That's
mean, I
important.
wish I knew who my grandpa was. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Was he a
You know,
good guy, your grandfather?
um, uh, well, I met my grandpa Hubert. They called him Hootie. He died when I was 18 or 19, but I never met my other grandpa. And
Wow.
you know,
So here's the other thing. You got a book, and every day, Brian, this is what really impresses me about you're like, to me, you're like religion, man. Every day you're out there doing it. On LinkedIn, I check you out, man. Your show, you're pontificating the finer points of what you're all about with Radical Vision. And you're the founder and CEO, and you're out there doing it, and you have get different guests. How do you keep doing that every day, day in, day out? How do you get content? What makes you want to do it? Just can you share with us?
yeah. So in full disclosure, I've weaned off a little bit of it, so I'm not doing it quite every day, but
Hmm.
still, the practice of doing it over the last year, during COVID was because every day I woke up. I mean, I work from home, so get that out of the way. I work from home now since November. I don't drive, so July of 2020, June maybe, I started to do the lives, and it really gave me a place to go. It gave me a thing to do. I had a mission every day. I needed to
Right,
go and I needed to work on those, the live streams. I needed to make sure they were promoted. I needed every morning I woke up, I had a purpose, and that was really important for me to be able to be just to be a person, because with not seeing anyone, for a year plus, during the workday, I mean, that got really old. But if I could have those relationships built where I could
right,
reach out to all these different kind of speakers, because I mean they're all in the NSA, in the National Speakers Association, and I had access to them through the Facebook. I mean, it made total sense to me, and I honestly didn't think of it that way when I first started it. When I first started
right,
it, our old buddy Wes Wyatt, he said to me, you should do a live stream every day. I said, every day? And I didn't think I would do it. I didn't think I wanted to do it. But he's like, yeah,
right,
if you do this, yeah, I promise you're going to have success. So, we started doing it, and a lot of people
right.
got to know my name and hear about what I talk about. So, from that perspective, I give my hat off to Wes, and the fact that I was able to get started with that has been huge.
Yeah, and Wes is doing a lot of different things out there, helping other people on their shows. I know, like I think it's Randy Chafee and even Eric Bam on the infamous, what is that? I went brain dead here. The
Shot on goal.
Yeah, shot on
Shot on
goal.
goal.
Right, right. So, and it's kind of cool. And I know he's doing other things as well. So he's a behind the scenes guy, but he's very knowledgeable at what he does. Um, and so now here you are, you're doing this, you've written a book. So now we're going to get into the fun part. And now you even speak. And I'm sure you don't speak everywhere for free. So, can you tell us, because it all gets down into this since we're on Elevate Your Profits, like how do you take what you do and create like revenue streams or, with your radical vision? How does that work? And I don't want you to give us dollar values. I'm teasing you here when I say that. But, how do you go about getting the word out there and, and say, hey, here I am. I'm Brian Wagner. Who helps you book and get, speaking engagements or, promotionals for your book, or you're doing, I don't want to call them like workshops or, even if you're doing live stream events. So what do you do? How do you put that all together?
A lot of it's my own marketing. A lot of it's that, but then I also have a virtual assistant that I work with. The
Okay,
virtual assistant really helps me, to fill out different forms to be able to apply to speak at different locations. And then, hopefully once I go to those locations here in the next couple months, I'll be able to have a speech that's worthy of somebody else in the crowd saying, "Hey, you know what? We should have this guy speak at our company." So
cool.
that's the hope. But the big part of it is the referral business. So there's the speeches. That's one thing. There's also the live streams, which the live streams are there's no cost to them right now,
Sure.
but hopefully some there will be some sponsorships that happen with that. And so I've got a few opportunities for different companies to apply to be sponsors. There's also there's also the webinars that I do. So the webinars are very, very good. They're valuable. Eventually we'll have some revenue from that. I also work at this, so that's a revenue generating, and I do that as a part of a radical vision. So that's another revenue stream there as well. So there's
It's
lots
cool.
of things that go into this, and it's been great.
Right. Right. Do you remember when you first did your first live stream? Do you remember what that was like, Brian?
Yeah, it was awful.
We all were, weren't we?
Uh, uh, yeah, absolutely. I didn't have the sound on. I didn't have it. Yeah, it was bad, 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 bad. But over time, it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in a month. It doesn't happen in 6 months. It takes a while,
Right.
and you gotta get feedback from people. But once you get that, and once you start applying some of that, that's where we begin to
Yeah,
grow.
and that's the other thing. We kid about it. The only way you're going to get better at something is you got to just go out there and do it. And but I'm just going to share. That's the title of your book right here, and I'll let everybody see once again what it does look like. It's a real live book, everybody, and it's pretty cool. Sometimes it does take a brain surgeon. So, how did you come up with that title? Was that you or somebody else?
I was part of a book club, a book writing club, and this author or this publisher, kind of a not a official publishing house, but still a
Hmm.
hybrid type of publisher. I don't know if he came up with the idea or maybe I did. I was brainstorming, different ideas for book names, and that's one of the names that came out. I think. I don't know. Maybe somebody else gave it to me. I'm not sure.
Right, right.
I liked it, so I kept.
Yeah. No, it's a really I like the title because brain surgeon. Yeah, I've used that term. I think we all have at one point in our lives. Hey, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to do this or take out the garbage or something. I've heard that thrown at my
Mhm.
face as a kid growing up. But one of the things one of the things that really intrigues me about you and what your message is overcoming self-limiting beliefs, acquiring a new vision for life, and you begin seeing your life with new eyes daily. Um, and you're so upbeat because I've seen your show. How did you get yourself in that frame of mind, Brian? Because we all go through crap. I'll just be blunt. Some of us handle it different than others. And how do you stay so upbeat and you know, just curious what's making you tick out there.
Well, I've got good genes. That's probably one of the first ways. My mom and dad were always upbeat, always positive. You know, more my dad than anything. But that's where it starts. And he was and they have pretty good attitudes because they've seen a lot and they've gone through a lot.
Right.
But anyway, so that's part of where it starts. But then I have to be intentional with my mental health and with my positivity. So positivity is something that I enjoy to have. I want to have. So I have to do things like stay away from the morning news, or different kinds of news. I mean, there are some news that's important to have, important to watch, but
Right.
there's some news you just need to stay away from because it's not going to add any value to you. That's one thing. Hang around positive people. That's another way that I remain positive. And then, focus brings me joy. So, I focus on what brings me joy and understand the positive effect that has on me. Then in a good place. Because
Right.
there are times where I just feel like crap. But if I go out and I build a fire, or I or if I
I I
talk about my
usually
dad, or
walk.
call somebody,
Yeah. Cool. That's neat
yeah,
that you do.
go for a
No, that's
walk.
neat that you do that. Right. Yeah, that's what I do.
Oh,
I go outside or sometimes I'll scream. It's kind of like you brought up a great point, and this happened. Um, I had to do a game that actually lasted 2 hours and 45 minutes, and it
oh,
was the championship game. So, yeah, and I
oh,
was called various things throughout the course of it. And my partner just said, "Man, you're doing a tremendous job. Keep doing what you're doing." Um, and sometimes it's hard, particularly when you're out there in the heat of battle, like or the arena, as Teddy Roosevelt once wrote that little statement. His Theodore Roosevelt, who
oh yeah.
I kind of am akin to. I like some of his, things that he pontificates about life, but yeah, it was kind of wild. And, I got in the car and just kind of let out a scream. No one heard it, but, because had been a long day. I started at 9 and I left the field at 9:15. So that'll give you an indication of
Oh,
what the day was like. Yeah. And so, that's why I like being around people like you. And by the way, I'm going to acknowledge this gentleman, Robert. Thank you for joining us, Robert Brooker. God bless you for being here. Appreciate it. Feel free to share it out. And anybody else that wants to hop on board, yeah, he said, my neighbors do hear my screams. Okay. And we all yeah, it was good, Robert. But we all do have, things that we struggle with. And, I by no means will not pontificate the finer points of perfection because I'm not. I'm a work in progress. But like I said, by doing, I think that makes you, and that's what you do, Brian, which inspires me, that makes you really authentic. And I think being a doer brings that authentic quality that you have. And whether you feel like doing it or not, you keep moving on, you keep moving forward. And a lot of people, through these live streams I've watched and got to know through different organizations, that's the positive message they put out there. Does that make sense?
yeah, absolutely. I mean that's great. glad to be glad to help. If watching my live streams help you, that's great. If your live streams help me, I mean, that's great too.
Right.
So it's a big community of people, a small community of people that do these live streams and add value to each other, and it's great.
And I'm going to bring out the human side of you here, and I'm not here to embarrass you, but you can tell me about this one because I showed this earlier today. Yeah, tell me about this right here. What is this picture here?
Oh, that's my daughter.
Hmm.
Who, if you me too much, you've heard my Father's Day letter from Jess back in
Yes,
2011.
right.
So this is her getting her master's in education, and that's my
That
wife
is
Connie
awesome.
next to her.
That's beautiful. That's
Yeah,
beautiful. And that's important. And that's why you do what you do. I can tell that you're a quality individual. You're not only that, you're a great dad, and I'll bet you if I ask your wife, you're a solid husband too. And by the way, belated Happy Father's Day to you and all these other guys out here
hey,
that have.
same,
Thank you. Thank you. I have two sons, so
same
it's
to
not
you.
easy sometimes. But yeah, and it's kind of cool, that yesterday was Father's Day. We got another comment, and look who popped on here, Randy Chafee. Thank you,
Randy,
Randy, for being here.
hey
Yeah,
Randy, how are you, sir?
there's the man with a plan right there. And
Oh
Randy,
yeah,
my hat goes
he's a
off to
good
you. I
guy.
saw I saw that he was flying again, the road warrior and old school knuckle dragger that he is. He was in a plane going somewhere. So sooner or later, he'll be at a
Back on the
theater near
road.
you. Oh, I know. It's starting to happen. Now, with that, so here we are, Brian. Now we're getting out of this COVID thing. And, so they say it's all clear. Thanks, Randy. And so what is like, you always hear this, what's now, what's new, what's next for Brian? Like now we're slowly getting out of this incubator, so what are you going to
Mhm.
be doing? Do you have anything in store for us? Any plans?
Yeah, so hopefully I'm going to be doing more speaking engagements, to more of in-person engagements where I'm not doing these videos like this. So I don't drive anymore, so I'll be taking Ubers or Lyfts or whatever, and
Brian,
then a lot of flights, or maybe I'll begin on the Greyhound bus. I don't know, whatever works
right.
out. So hopefully I'll be doing more of that.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So what do you think? Do you think as a society we got better through this COVID thing? I think some of us have. I would never have done what I'm doing right now. I'm not the best at it. I'm not the worst at it. I'm still working at it. Like I said, I'm always a work in progress. I keep hanging around, see if I'm going to get it right. But
Okay.
some people are intimidated to do what you and
I
I are
think
doing
you're
right
doing
now.
great.
Well, thank you. But
Yeah. No,
where
I
do
think
you
you're
think?
doing great. You're doing a great job. I love it.
Okay. And
What?
I've heard the master himself, Jeffrey Gitomer, say that you're still going to incorporate this, but and I know with Randy, it's another tool in his tool belt, his sales and marketing tool belt that he can now implement. And for you, I'm sure it's the same thing. And now you'll be able to engage face to face with people, and they'll actually get to touch, feel, see, and go, "Hey, he's a real live person." Look at that. I'm
Yeah.
not looking at him in a screen. So, do,
Yeah.
do, is that where you see you got it going? I mean, in
Oh
that
yeah.
direction?
Yeah. It's that you will have to be able to use. I mean, because this is going to come in handy certain times, and
Right.
we'll use it when it's appropriate.
Absolutely. And look who said you got it, both of you. And Ronnie Goodwin Graphics. God bless the man. By the way, I did a little impromptu thing on Saturday, and Ron told me that I had to allow my wife to ask more than 5 questions. Ron, just so you know, you're listening, we allowed Gina 6 questions since we were celebrating Father's Day. My wife likes to ask a lot of questions. Being Greek, she likes to be really inquisitive. So we gave her six, Ron, and they didn't throw me overboard. They said, okay, six was the limit. So, you know. But anyway, I love Ron. He's cool. He says he says glad to see you made it. Okay, yeah, I did. I did. And it rained out there. And this all comes into play on this show, Elevate Your Profits. Nothing goes according to plan sometimes. Ron has his own business, Randy's doing his own thing, Robert's doing his own thing. I'm out here trying to, promote sales training, this, thus, and so. And bad things happen, but what always amazes me is like someone like yourself and the rest of these people on here is how they handle it, how they deal with it. It's gonna eventually happen. It's kind of like I stand behind the plate. Eventually, you're gonna get hit. That ball is gonna hit you. Whether it's a foul tip, a miscatch, you're gonna get hit. So, how do you prepare yourself for that? Like, hey, maybe this live stream won't go the way I want it to, or maybe this speech I'm going to give isn't quite where I wanted it to be. How do you get work at getting better? Do you watch yourself? Have you ever gone back and watched yourself, your videos? And, there's another guy out there. They kiddingly say, "If you suck, you suck." I don't mean to be blunt, but we all start somewhere. And do you do those things? I mean,
Oh yeah.
Brian.
Oh yeah. I watch my videos. I watch it. I give my speech, and I record my speech, and then I'll watch it back. Maybe I look for what I did well, what I didn't do well. All those
Right.
things, and try to practice and improve on them.
No, I know it's a trip, and that's what always amazes me how things go down or should go down, and then it's like it's adapt, improvise, and overcome. And that's one of the things we talk about here on this platform. It's like the people listening, the people that have their own businesses, they're entrepreneurs, or you know whatever the case may be, you just constantly have to keep moving forward and look at ways to improve. I think COVID has allowed us to come out of our cocoons, our environmental cocoons, and you really engage with people. And I think it's kind of cool. I think as much negative as it has been, it's enabled all of us to kind of open up our minds and say, hey, the world's not that bad a place, and this is how we're going to roll for right now. And once we get through this, we'll go on to the next thing.
Yeah, that's right. I agree.
You know. But is there anything you want to share
That's
with
what it's
us?
all
I know
about.
you got a Yeah, I know you got a hard stop here, but is there anything you want to share with us? And I'm just going to go back here. We talked, just so if you guys came late, I'm just going to pop them up here. Brian's philosophy, he talked about blind spots. We all have them. And Brian, if you want to throw anything in here as I go through here, we talked about revenue streams, how he's doing that, monetizing his situation. And then we talked about that dreaded disease, hydrocephalus,
Hydrocephalus.
you
Yeah,
know,
that's
and
syphilis,
trying.
not syphilis.
Yes, thank you.
Those 10.
And this is what I think you do really well for all of us, Brian, and I truly mean that. Watching your program, it just gets me to open up my eyes and kick myself in the butt and say, "Hey, you can do better. You're not doing enough, and you need to do better." That's just me. I'm never really satisfied. Another comment out here. Yeah, look at that. See, emerge like the butterfly. Funny you should
Yeah.
say that, Ronnie Goodwin, because you know what? I got something else for you here, and Brian's seen it, and I think it's important that I share this. You talked about the butterfly. Service to others is the rent you pay for the room here on earth, and that was by Muhammad Ali. And we all know who he is and what he did, and And I always like to kid around, and I figure, hey, I got to show a pic of the guy. There he is. That's the guy. So,
Nice.
yeah. So I think that's important, and that gentleman there is a movement and not just a name. And I think with you, Brian, you're on the cusp of becoming a movement, and your name will be that movement, like Ali's. I mean, I'm not saying you're Ali, but when I say a movement, it to me means it's more than the name. It's about being somebody, being something, being productive, being positive, not being a drain on society. And Ali taught us a lot of things, out there in the real world. Even when he lost, he was teaching us. And that's what you do every day. I'm serious. I really appreciate what you do. Um, and with that, I know you got to go, and I wish you could stick around later. We'll have to get you back when Tom's here, because Tom's he'll put you under the microscope since he's a personal development coach. But you and him probably have a lot in
Hmm.
common with that. So,
Hmm.
and
Cool.
since it is a
Sounds
hard
good.
stop, yeah, well, I think it is too. We'll have to get you back here. But since it is a hard stop, is there anything you'd like to conclude?
Just no matter what, remember to encourage other people, that are different from you, because we all have something going on in our life. We don't always share it. We don't always show it. But if you can understand that somebody else, no matter what, they have something going on as well, that would be great.
Outstanding. I'd put you back in the green room, but you have to go, correct? I mean, so I'm
Yeah.
not going to put you back in the green room. So if I hate just like pulling you out of here, but thank you so much. Again, Brian, we need to get you back. I
Okay. Well,
truly mean
thanks for
that, and
having me, Bart.
we will get you back, and we'll spend more time with you about this because I know we have different questions and so forth, and I know Tom will. And I've got to do my little plug here, but as always, you are a gracious person, and if I had to say it all, like on the message, by the way, Mark's message will be resurfacing. You truly epitomize being a leader, being a friend, most of all, being of service. And I thank you again for that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And with that further ado, I'm going to pull you out of here because I got to do my little plug here. So,
All right.
but thanks again, Brian,
All
and we'll
right.
have you back. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was the man himself, the founder and CEO of Radical Vision. I know we have some comments up here. And yeah, thank you, Robert, for being here. Thank everybody for being here. Ron, thank you. Um, Randy Chafee, thank you. And the others that are watching, feel free to share this out as I tell everybody. And Brian is really a unique individual. And I want to get more into, how to uncover blind spots. We all have them. And, what an amazing dude, man. I mean, the guy just keeps trucking. It's like he was sharing some stories with me backstage, what he potentially have to do from, health perspective and surgery and all that. And that's not fun to look forward to it. But if anybody can handle it, he can. What a unique individual. And so here we are. We're at that point. Why are we here? So elevate your profits. I have to share this with you here because eventually, this Thursday, if anybody is interested and wants to know, what we do, what this thing's about, I'll pop it up here. And if I stand to be corrected this Thursday, it'll be at it's like 6:30 Central, somewhere around that time frame. There's the link. Now Tom talks about this stuff, and it's kind of like a situation like, hey, let's get down and dirty and be honest with yourself. So look in the accountability mirror, and he talks about how to create $1 million asset. I call it the 7 pillars of building your $1 million asset. And what do you think the percentage of people that has a net worth of $1 million or more is right now today. And it takes about 30 minutes, and it's a Zoom type situation, and it's free. And he just goes over like the threshold of being wealthy as having a net worth of $1 million. So it's kind of cool. And I watch it, and every time I watch it, I learn a whole heck of a lot, and I find out what I'm not doing enough of. And saving your way to $1 million doesn't work. I mean, my father, he did depart from this earth as $1 million, a millionaire rather, and it happened by investments, as well as he worked for a company for XYZ amount of years. He retired from the military as well. So he was blessed, and that enabled him to do that, those vehicles. But he had some multiple streams of revenue in doing that. So this is what intrigues me about these seven pillars. And Tom was going to reveal this. And that's why I have that website right there. If you're interested, feel free, go to it, check it out, and it'll take place Thursday, this Thursday, and it'll be, if I'm not mistaken, 6:30 is when it does actually happen. But I wanted to share that with you. And this is something I got involved in for me to better myself and, up my game financially. But I want to once again thank everybody again for joining us this evening. Tom could not be here. Seriously, he was at an industry function, and I don't know if he was speaking at it, but he was with a bunch of his associates. I will share, and you could give him a couple digs. I think he might have been hitting a white sphere called a golf ball. So, hey, so be it. But I just want to say thanks to everybody. Next week and the week after, I will not be here. Yours truly. I am actually going to take a break, do some family time, tone it down, and the Gasserts are going to kind of hang out with the Leaks and, other people that we know. We go to St. Pete Beach. There's a place down there called the Bon Air. For those of you that are in that illustrious state of Florida, that's where we've gone for years and years and years. My wife's gone there as a child, and here we are with our kids. One of them's now married, and now the story continues. But it's kind of a fun time to do that, and that's what I'll be doing, and hanging around people and actually getting a chance to really engage with them, talk with them, putting up the phone, and not dinging and pinging and all that other craziness, and just having a good time. So just want to say thanks to everybody, and yes, it is time to shut it down. And as always, we do it here on Elevate Your Profits. As I ramble, I am going to say this is Mark Gassard from the peachiest place on the planet. You better believe it, Peachtree Corners. And we were without Tom Ginn tonight. We missed him. But I am going to close this bad boy out, and we will catch you soon.